So we do a lot of video content. We have a lot of like those little cartoon how-to videos that show what TextureQuest can do. We have videos that show our features. One of our cool features is SMS payments. So we have a video that just explainer videos, as they're called. Explainer videos are really big on that. We have a live action commercial we shot recently, and we're circulating that around.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, this is Max Pittman from WriteForMe, and you're listening to another episode of the Business Ninjas podcast, where we meet the experts who are growing and scaling their businesses and making things happen. And today we're talking about text requests. We're talking with Ramey Miller from Text Request, who is the marketing manager there. Ramey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, so text requests. Text requests is in the B2B telecommunications space. You also have a SaaS platform. Company's been around since 2014, and definitely excited to dive into what's going on at Text Request. But before we jump into your organization, Business Ninjas community is definitely built of entrepreneurs, executives, sales and marketing leaders. So as the marketing manager at Text Request, tell the Business Ninjas community a little bit about yourself, your role, and what are some of the things you're focused on?
Yeah. So I graduated from college in 2018 with my degree in marketing, and Text Request was the first job I got out of college. So I've been there since college, since right after college. And the cool thing about it is it's a bootstrapped startup SaaS company. So we had no funding that a bunch of our competitors had. When I was hired, I was the second person in marketing. It was just me and my current VP of marketing. And so we had to build that thing up from the top down, from down to the top, all the way around. We did the whole marketing thing, which was a lot of experience gained, a lot of frustration. But through trial and error, you do get better. And now we're at like a really good marketing place within our company, and we compete very well with bigger competitors.
Very cool. I know the bootstrapped startup feel myself. Prior to joining this organization, I was employee number 70, and when I left, I was employee number out of 1,200. So I know kind of what it's like to kind of get into the ground floor and move fast and break things, and you need to do a lot of things to grow the organization very quickly, such as growing sales teams. I know you guys are focused on that as well, so I'd love to just chat really quickly once we move forward about how you guys are thinking about growing the sales team and how marketing is supporting that. So I definitely know the bootstrap vibe very well, but I don't want to put you on the spot here either. But I know you've been in the company for 4 years, and we've all imagined, at least I have, pitching ideas on Shark Tank or being a shark ourselves. So I'd love it if you can kind of give me Text Request elevator pitch, and what problem does Text Request solve?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Text Request is the messaging platform that allows you to use your office landline number to send and receive text messages. We do this by porting your number onto our platform. You get to keep, whoever you're with, you get to keep them. And from a customer standpoint, it's just like texting a friend. They don't have to have a special app. They just text you. It comes into a dashboard that you and your whole team can answer. We have people who use it for lead generation. We have people who use it for scheduling appointments. We have people who use it for quotes. Wherever you would communicate with somebody by either phone, in person, mail, or email, you could do it through text. And that's the space that we fit.
Super interesting. How long did the company start? Back in 2014. What's that origin story there?
Yeah, it's actually a great origin story. So we have 3 founders, 2 of which are husband and wife, and they are serial entrepreneurs. So this is not their first endeavor, but it is my favorite because I'm part of it. But they were at a restaurant with their toddler, and he was screaming, crying. And this is, from the words of the founders. And she, or they were just talking. They were like, man, I really wish, I believe it was Jamie that said, I really wish I could just text our waiters so we can get the check and leave. They weren't upset at anything that was happening. They were just trying to, get the toddler home. Um, and then they just kept talking about it at home, being entrepreneurs already, they see a problem and they want to tackle it. Later, they met with the third founder, Rob, and he's our CTO. And, the rest is history. I can't remember when that meeting happened, but I'm glad it did. And they've just been focused on that ever since.
So wait, what was like the aha moment for text requests? I'm not sure I'm catching that.
Yeah, well, when she was at the table, she wished she could have texted the waiter to get them to come, but there's no way to do that. I think they were saying like it was busy, and they were stressed, and it looked like the waiting staff was stressed, so they weren't coming over to the table.
Okay.
So they wish they could just text and have the waiter come to get the check.
Text the restaurant?
Yeah, text the restaurant. Well, just like, hey, we're at this table, we're ready to go.
So are restaurants a big vertical focus for you?
So at first, yes, restaurants and hotels, but found our saving grace through home service. So lawn, pest control, HVAC, they really, really embraced business texting early on, for marketing purposes, for scheduling purposes, for quotes, whatever the use case may be. So we found that as our main vertical and worked on that one pretty extensively for the first 2 years.
So I hear a lot of like scheduling, lead follow-up, just communication in general, right? So what were the challenges that they were experiencing before text requests? Like what was happening there? What were those challenges?
Yeah. The challenge is getting someone to either pick up a phone or to read an email. 98% of people open up their text messages. They see a text message, they read it. And usually within the first 3 minutes of getting it, that's the problem fix. We said, hey, forget about your open rates. If it's a quick message that you need to get in front of somebody, here it is. Here's the way to do it. Straight to their phone. Everyone has their cell phone on them. Not everyone can take a phone call, especially if they're at work, but most people can say, like, text back, hey, are you still interested in us coming and checking out your HVAC unit? Yes, this time, and they schedule it that way. It just really, breaks any barriers and goes straight to the source. This is not necessarily an in place of, but as an integrated part of your overall communications and just how you interact with your customers.
Yeah, I could see how that would be super necessary. Like you want to get a hold of the person who's coming to your house, or you want to give them a heads up, hey, who's coming to your house, right? Especially anything in home service. The more communication, the better. Nothing worse than being surprised. Oh, well, I had you coming by today for this, or hey, I need you to come by and check this out because I have a big problem, right? The worst problem is not being able to get a hold of those persons or not being able to understand like what's actually going on, right? So,
and phone tag is awful, and we kind of eliminate that because you can send a text and then move on. You don't have to wait for it. So yeah, that's our space.
So I think that sounds like a little bit about like your secret sauce a little bit. Like why will customers, go with you guys over the competition? Because I'm sure there's a lot of other companies in the space, or maybe they've just adopted, just their phones, or they have a separate phone to be a work phone that they would do all their communications from.
Yeah. There's several facets. So most of our competitors do almost exactly the same thing. Differences is usually in pricing and our success team or support team and the user interface. That's where we get, that's where a lot of people get differences and how they pick one over the other. But really, you can have unlimited users, at least on our platform. And most platforms, you can have multiple users. So instead of having to share one cell phone, your whole office can see and answer and receive these text messages from a browser. You can do it from your cell phone. We have an app. You can do it from a web browser, on a tablet, on a laptop, on a computer, whatever. And I think that's the kind of difference. You know, you don't have to buy cell phones for everybody. You don't even have to be on a cell phone. You be at your desk and answer texts and send texts, which is really great for salespeople who are just on their desk all day typing in emails and sending texts out. So that's why people would pick us, or at least business texting. And then when you get into the weeds of it, you know, our pricing, our business model, how we interact with our customers, that's how they pick us.
Super. Yeah. Super interesting. I mean, when I think about like how sales would potentially interact with leads, it's typically from the website. And when I think about that is it's maybe a chat solution. And that chat solution is there. It's a live, living, breathing organism that follows you around on the website and allows you to kind of start conversations when you're there, right? And, you know, the platform behind the scenes is, you know, hey, everyone that's on the sales team can interact with a chat when it's there. But, you know, so it's interesting to kind of, you know, hear this from like a texting specific platform where this is a live living thing that everyone can kind of be living in, to identify when there are potential leads or, you know, customer service issue or things that pop up in a platform where people can get a hold of you there versus from the website itself.
Yeah. And, you know, speaking of competitors that aren't necessarily text based, like as you said, like a chat that lives there, you know, there are web chats that aren't text message based. We do have a feature, and, you know, some of our competitors have a feature, SMS chat, which acts like a live chat on a website where the customer would go to the website, type in their information, their question, their cell phone number. When they click send, it goes to the text request dashboard, and they can leave your website because your reply goes straight to their phone. It doesn't live on the website; it lives with them. So it's even more of a being connected, because if a salesperson takes too long to respond, you know, they might leave the website, might get up and walk away from their computer. But, you know, if it's living in their phone and you already have their contact information, you have their best form of contact information, their cell phone, which you don't usually get through like a live chat.
100%. So what would you say is the biggest challenge? Maybe we could look at this in two different perspectives. Maybe, you know, on the marketing side, since you're, you know, the marketing manager there, what's kind of the biggest challenge facing marketing? And then, you know, on the second, I guess second fold to that would be like, what is the biggest challenge that you guys are facing right now as a business?
Yeah, so I would say those challenges are pretty much the same, which is which is most businesses' problem, is bringing in the best leads possible, high quality leads. And we're really good at identifying businesses and identifying the door opener, you know, the gatekeeper of those businesses to reach out to and get them on a demo, get them on a call, you know, send them some emails. The biggest barrier is, especially with, twofold. There's franchises that have to go through a bunch of hoops with corporate before they can integrate any other software. So that's a barrier. And then the other side is small businesses who either aren't ready for a change like this, only half their staff is ready for a change like this, or it's someone who owns a business but has stepped away from the business. So the office manager is on board, but then they're like, okay, cool, I have to meet with the owner in such and such time period. That's our barrier for most things. And when it comes from the marketing perspective, my challenge is narrowing audiences across whatever paid platforms we're using, retargeting those specifically to retargeting those and putting them in campaigns with specific messages to what we believe would resonate best with them. So a lot of things we do is industry based. You know, I have messages just for pest control, I have messages just for legal, just for medical. Those are our biggest challenges, and they kind of coincide. The good part is it's not a huge challenge. It's just a time consuming one. But then every year we've at least doubled our revenue, and we're not slowing down anytime soon. So we're in a good spot. It's not a big hill, it's a small hill, but it is, I would say, our number one challenge.
Sure. So it sounds like what I'm hearing is um, bringing in opportunities, right? That's always, I think, number one for pretty much every organization, is ensuring they have high quality contacts and high quality leads coming over the fence for the sales team to then take as in the form of opportunities to potentially close. So obviously that's a big number one from what I'm hearing. The second thing also is continuing to identify opportunities and audiences, and ensuring that we do have the right opportunities coming over the fence to your sales team as well.
Right, correct.
And then, the other thing that I'm hearing that you guys are working on is identifying like challenges within the deal itself, right? The barriers that franchises might have to go through, or enterprise organizations might have to go through to adopt some of this type of technology. What is like a typical, customer look like, from like a franchise perspective? Is it a restaurant, right? Is it, law office partners? Like what does that typical, franchise look like? I'm just kind of curious to understand.
Yeah, no issues. A typical franchise would be kind of like Mosquito Joe's, so in the pest control area, where they're individually owned, but because there is a franchise aspect to it and a corporate aspect to it, sometimes they have to go back and forth and make sure everything is compliant on the corporate end. That is an ideal customer. I would say that one is one that's a little bit iffy. It depends, I believe, on how the franchise is set up, how much they need permission to adopt. And then you get into not even just franchises, but we're in a lot of credit unions. We work with a lot of credit unions, and they have boards that they have to go through. But that's just like they legally have to do all that stuff because they have to stay above board. Medical practices, this is actually a great example of a challenge we overcame. Medical practices, they have to be HIPAA compliant with everything. So we weren't able to serve that. So we did all the research. We went to all the right places. We got HIPAA certified. We have a HIPAA certified option. And it's just the way the data sends and what you can and cannot do. And that's how we overcame that challenge. And that barrier was blown away once we have the HIPAA certified.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, this is perfect. But that's an easy one to do. That's something that we can control. I can't really control having to go to a board or an owner. But yeah, that's our story.
Yeah, of course. No, that makes a lot of sense. By the way, like the HIPAA stuff is no easy task either. And I know that's the big barrier to entry for a lot of companies in the communication and conversational sales and marketing space. So it's good that you guys were able to get ahead of that. So you could attack the medical and medical practice, medical office, verticals or industries. So, from where you guys are today versus maybe where you are or where you were during COVID, like what changed, or, how were you guys able to grow during COVID?
COVID stunk for a lot of people, and it stunk for us as individuals having to be stuck at home. But as a company, as an industry, I would say the business texting industry as a whole grew a lot exponentially through COVID and the pandemic. We didn't slow down. We were still doing sales. I believe we hired during the pandemic. But it wasn't just us that benefited from it. It was, all of our competitors, and not just in the business texting space, but in the like automated chat space, the AI bot space. But overall, it was a good indication. It was good for us, and we've just grown since. We have not stopped. I'd say the biggest takeaway from it is it helped change the perspective of why business texting to, okay, who do I pick for business texting? Yeah. Business texting being a newer thing, people weren't sure that they needed it or why they needed it, and now they're like, okay, I see the value. I know that it will help what we're trying to do. Now, who do I pick?
Yep.
And that's the space that we're in, which is a good space to be in. It means growth in the industry.
Yeah, 100%. Communication is key, and I could see how that would be even more important considering that people are in the office and they need continuous ways to communicate with their, employees, or not employees, but rather with their, their companies that they were partnering with or people that they were working with. And it's makes sense that there is even like some growth during COVID for you guys. Sounds like there's a little bit of offense and potentially defense being played, which I think is probably what most companies did during that time, at least the successful ones that, are still kicking after that. So, you being on the marketing team, and you're in a very crowded space, right? How does marketing play a role in helping the business stand out?
Well, other than, bidding and paid ads and audiences, a lot of our stuff is the content we put out. So when Texarkust first started, our marketing budget was little to none. And I wasn't even on the team at the time. I was still in college. So my now VP, he would just crank out blog posts, tons of them. And that brought us crazy organic traffic and boosted our SEO without even dropping a penny yet, which is awesome. If it's free, do it. And if it works well, do it even more. And then it slowly evolved to it needing to be a little bit more condensed. And we went through a phase where we got rid of, I would say, 90% of our content on our website and our blog, and really condensed it into like high value, high actionable material and content, which still derives a ton of our organic traffic. It also helps in search results. So we'll take those pieces of content, those links, and those are the landing pages for when people are searching for things like that. Like we have text examples to schedule appointments. So someone will search that in Google. Hopefully we pop up, they click it, they read our content. They're not necessarily looking for a new provider, but we've provided them something that their current provider didn't. So hopefully they see the value in us, switch over. By that time, they're already captured in retargeting campaigns anyway, and they're going to see us for a little bit regardless. So that's pretty much the flow for that.
Gotcha. So I totally agree that there's a focus that should be on highly valued content. I mean, that's a big piece that I think companies need to invest in. Is not just like the quantity of content that's out there, but how focused it is on specific topics that you as a business solve for, or that you as a business know your competitors might be solving for as well, that you do really well, and also to make sure that you start ranking higher on Google for those things that people might be asking for. So I can see there's a big focus there. What other types of content are you guys focused on? Is there focus on, digital marketing, social, audio, video, YouTube, Facebook, podcasts? What else are you guys focusing in on?
So we do a lot of video content. We have a lot of those little cartoon how-to videos that show what Texarkust can do. We have videos that show our features. One of our cool features is SMS payments. So we have a video that just explainer videos, as they're called. We have an explainer videos. We're really big on that. We have a live action commercial we shot recently, and we're circulating that around. We do a lot of guest posting. Our VP posts on LinkedIn daily, and that's helped generate, more leads, and we count it as content because we get to share that around. The office shares it around. Our office is really good, and I recommend this for most offices. Our office is really good at sharing our company's content on LinkedIn. I'm not saying people need to do that for Facebook and Twitter, but LinkedIn as a professional place, I think it's totally cool to do that there. But those are our main things of content. Really is blog posts. We have templates that act kind of like a blog post, but it's just a big list of, hey, these are templates for how to schedule appointments, how to collect more payments. We have best practices for different industries, PDFs that come out. We did a state of business texting report. We're going to do that every year. That's pretty much it for, where we're in contact. Content. It's display ads, graphics, video, and copy and blog posts and stuff like that.
Yeah, you guys are definitely doing a lot from the marketing side, which is good. You need to, for sure. Again, to stand out against the competition, make sure you're ranking high on social, making sure you're being seen, ranking on Google and being seen on social and being seen on TV too, from what it sounds like, which is great. You guys are doing like full service syndication. So, what is something that you guys want to be celebrating, a year from now? You're scaling the sales team from what I understand. So I'd love to just kind of dive in, like if there's something that you guys are trying to do to grow and scale the business, and how are you trying to celebrate that within the next year?
Every year we have the talk, as a company, what are our goals this year? Our goal is always just constant growth. I know that sounds like a cop-out answer, but it truly is the only thing we can celebrate right now in the space, especially where we are at as a, as I said, bootstrap company. Like we compete very well with these venture capitalist funded competitors of ours. But really all we can do right now is just make sure we're growing steadily, and the growth isn't slowed down. So for instance, if we grow 50%, the next year we want to grow 50% or more. We don't want to grow 48%. We would see that as a loss. But with that growth, especially since we're so small of a company, not small, but less than 100 people, the growth doesn't mean just numbers. It also just means like the departments are growing. This is our third office that we've had to like upgrade to. We don't have 3 offices. We moved 3 times. That's what we're trying to celebrate. We're just trying to celebrate our growth, which is awesome because it's a team thing. It's not just a marketing thing or a sales thing or success thing. It's a whole company thing. So that's something A, we could achieve, and something B is fun to achieve with others.
Yeah, marketing and sales definitely need to work together, but also marketing, sales, product teams need to work together, and then service teams, right? So it's all cohesive units. So it makes sense where you guys would feel that way. And also revenue as the biggest metric that you're trying to hit is also a success metric and KPI. I'm sure that everyone's keeping their eye on as well as we start out the year. And as we wrap things up here, is there anything else that you'd like to share, or anything you think the listeners would need to know about the organization that we haven't covered thus far?
Nothing more than, if you communicate with anyone, any customers or clients, there's a space for where we fit. And if you don't know yet, we have tons of resources that are free. There's no like paywall or not paywall, but like you don't have to enter your information to go see it. If you're just interested, we're not just a company, we're also a resource. That's pretty much it,
Where can people find you guys? I know that there's a conference coming up that you're going to be at. Love to give you the floor just to kind of plug the company, the website, and where people can find you guys.
Yeah, we go to a lot of conferences. I don't have that list with me, and I apologize. But if you see us come by, we have really cool swag to give out all the time. You can find me. The best place to find me is on my LinkedIn. Ramey Miller, RameyMiller. I work at Text Requests, so it should be easy to find. Text Requests, you find us at textrequests.com. You can get a demo there. We have a demo video. You can check it out. If any questions at all, feel free to email me directly at ramey@textrequests.com. I'm happy to answer anything and, get you to a sales rep if that's what next steps are.
Perfect. Yeah, and if you have any conferences that are coming up in the hopper, just share that with us, and I can make sure I can include that in the link in the description for any conferences that are going to be up in the near future.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time, Ramey. I definitely enjoyed this conversation for sure. I feel like I've learned a lot about about you and about Text Requests and the companies you guys partner with, what you're solving for, how you're growing, the challenges you're going through. So I really appreciate you diving into that with me, and I appreciate you being a part of the Business Ninja podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate being here and talking with you and just expanding on all this stuff.
Yeah, me too. Well, if anyone wants to reach out, we'll include the links to Text Request information there in the description. And appreciate everyone listening in, and have a great rest of the day. Cheers.